Hey kids, I didn't want to leave you guys high and dry, so I just decided to record what we're going to do today because it's super easy and you can work on it while I am gone. What are we going to work on today? Today, we're going to work on the concept of variables. This is one of the most important parts of programming, one of the fundamental things that we really do. And today, just a very brief introduction into it. Well, what's our lesson plans have on store? Well, the first thing is you'll notice on Classroom there is a journal. I would just like you real quick in your own words, just describe to me what the word variable means. I just want to see how much you know. When you're done with that, we're going to move on to the heart of the program, which is making a variable in Scratch. First thing we're going to do here is create a new file. We're going to name this one variable. The Google definition is just really a value that can change depending on a condition or information passed along to a program. Best example of this is probably when you're playing a video game and you see the score go up or down. Real basic example for a very, very powerful command. You've also probably seen these if you've ever looked through some code. Might be named something like this. In our AP class, we do a similar project in there, but we use a JavaScript language to do it. And in this case, count right here would be our variable. And in this one, we simply make a program that counts up or down. This is the text-based version. Today, we're just going to be working on our own one here. Before we get to our variable, let's talk about our game. I think I'm going to have an all-out epic battle between one of the cutest and one of the scariest things in the world. That's right, we're going to have a battle between cats and dogs. This cat, unfortunately, we can get rid of. We do not need this sprite. Goodbye. The game here is going to be clicking on one of them will increase a score. Clicking on the other one will decrease a score. So let's move our sprites on each end of our screen here. Let's do the cat first. We're going to go to costumes. Make sure we select everything here. Oops. Shrink this down much smaller. Grumpy cat. Move that to the center. Once we get it the size we want, let's move it over here to this edge. Our dog's a little big. Let's shrink this cute little guy down. Right there. And then we'll move it over on this side. In our backdrop here, I'm going to put a header up here that's going to explain the game. Cats v. dogs. And we want this to be black, so let's just turn down the brightness here. Let's make this bigger. And then we need some line down here. I can just copy this, paste it, move something down here, and change it down here. Which is better? That's way too big there. So we're definitely going to need to shrink this down. And put that down there. Try to get it centered the best we can. There we go. There's my game, cat v. dogs. Let's go ahead and take care of the code. What we want to happen is when one is clicked on, a score to go up, and another one for the score to go down. So depending on which one you click, something will happen there. Well, how do we take care of that? Well, that's a variable. What you're going to do is you're going to make a new variable, and I'm going to call this one, oops, call this one just score. So I'm going to hit just for this sprite, OK. So that now has a variable score. The neat thing I can do with that is when this sprite is clicked, I can change that variable, which variable, score, to whatever I want, to +1 or -1, because they're cats. Let's do the same thing with the dog. So we are going to make a new variable, score again, for just this sprite only, and hit OK. Now you'll see up there that I have cat and dog score. This is to the costume, so if I put this in an uppercase D, that should change that code up there eventually. I can move these scores around here to get a little better position. So my cat score there. Same thing over here. When this sprite is clicked, we want to change, not set. Set would be to maybe change the score back to 0 and a new level starts or something like that. Change will actually do something. Change what? We want to change the score to +1. At this point, I don't need to put when a green flag is clicked because this is when a sprite is clicked. So when I click 1, the score should go up or down. Let's go ahead and try it out. And this one goes up. Speaking of green flag, the neat thing we can do here is when we do click the green flag, speaking of set, we can take that variable and set my variable score back down to 0. So whenever I click, now I hit the flag, it goes to 0. We have to do the same thing with our dog here. When the green flag is clicked, we are going to set the variable score to 0. So click the green flag. Now you can see my score will change. I hit the flag again, goes to 0, and I can go through. Now you're probably thinking, well, that's nice, Mr. Rhodes, but what happens if I just want to keep the score maybe +1 for a dog and -1 for a cat and just keep a running total? We can do that too. And what we just did here was we created something called a local variable. So the variable only was dependent on the sprite, didn't affect anything else. We have another type of variable called a global variable. Let's go ahead and make one of those. First thing we're going to do is we are going to get rid of our score part here. So I'm going to take when the sprite is clicked, and I'm just going to get rid of that on both of these. We'll still keep our score resetter right here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a new variable. And this is going to be for all sprites now, which is cuter. And we'll hit OK. Now in this variable now, we can do something very similar. When this sprite is clicked, change which variable, which is cuter, by 1. And then maybe somebody likes cats for some crazy reason. When this sprite is clicked, we are going to change which is cuter again, but this time to -1. I'm going to move this down here. I can get rid of these right here. How do I get rid of those down there? Well, unfortunately, I have to go back and come up here and delete the score variable on each one. And once that's done, you can see it is gone. Then we can move my score down here. We still want this to change. So we are going to set which one is cuter to 0 when it's clicked. Over here, we can get rid of that. That is now just extra code. Let's go ahead and try it. Oh, cats get -1. Dogs, +1. Let's start over. Looks like our code is working the way we want it to. We went ahead and we created two types of variables, a global and a local one. Remember, global affected both the sprites. Locals were just that particular sprite. What you're going to do now is create a game similar to mine, where you click on one thing, the score goes up, click on something else, the score goes down. You can make it either a local or a global score, or both, depending on what you want to do. Let's look back at the rubric real quick. Looking back, we did create a game that earned points. We created a variable. We didn't use their example, we went with our own. Hopefully yours increased 1 by each time and decreased 1 by the other time. Hopefully we also explained what happens when the green flag is clicked. So we've met all of the requirements of this lesson. I think that's all we really have to do for this. Good luck to you kids. I know you're going to do amazing, and I cannot wait to see what you produce.